Alright guys, welcome back. So we're going to look today at Billions, Season 5, Episode 4, Opportunity Zone. Like I've been doing here before, I want to cover the money side, the financial side of what's happening in the show. And I think if we have a better understanding of all the various financial talk, all the various financial machinations, I think this allows us to enjoy the show a little bit more than as it is. So with that, let's get started. And I don't think I'm quite out of line when I say this. Not a lot really happened in this show. Not a lot happened in this particular episode. So what do we deal with? Well, what brought my attention to this, what compelled me to get this video going, was this conversation between Taylor and Wendy and their desire to open up this new fund within the Axe Capital structure. So what exactly are they talking about, and what exactly is their focus point going to be? When you go back to episode 3, you remember that we talked about how the university president wanted to get rid of his investments in all the various fossil fuel industry type thingies. The dean wanted to be out, the president, whatever he was, he wanted to be out of all forms of investments which were somehow negative or damaging to the environment, so on and so forth. And then those students, they were compelling the dean to get out of those investments, and there was that big old cluster bang because of that. So what this new focus point that Showtime is touching upon, this idea that Billions is talking about, this concept that Taylor and Wendy are now going to explore, it is called ESG investing. ESG is not a new form of investing, it's not a new category of investing, but it is an investment vehicle, it is an investment strategy that is picking up a lot of steam. A lot of money is being transferred into this new strategy, and we're talking about monies in the trillions. What ESG essentially stands for is environmental, social, and governance, ESG. And what that basically means, guys, in a nutshell, what that basically means, gals, in a nutshell, is that large pension funds, large endowments, large bowls of money, people who have money, they say that, hey, I don't want my money just sitting in GM. I want my money to not only sit with GM, but I want to be able to make sure that General Motors, I want to make sure that any company that we invest in follows certain rules and regulations, and we want to make sure that our investments are ethical. We want to make sure that our investments have a low social footprint. We want to make sure that our investments have a low environmental footprint. We want to make sure that our corporations are run well. They're run with a focus on doing good. That's the governance portion of it. And this is something Wendy and Taylor are going to latch onto because these two people get it. They understand that a bunch of rich people want to look good, they want to look good to each other, and they want to look good for society and media and what have you. And this idea that we could get a bunch of rich folks invested in ESG type of investments is going to allow the rich people to feel good and generous to the earth. And Axe and his crew can make money by transacting these divestitures that are going to happen. How do you get someone to get rid of their, say, $2 billion worth of GM stock? You have to find a buyer. We talked about those dark pools. We talked about liquidity in the last episode. And this is what the focal point is that if Axe Capital becomes the go-to point where rich people can find a way to get rid of their negative investments, and in turn they could invest in these ESG related investments. And what happens? Well, Axe Capital then becomes more important. Axe Capital becomes more ingrained within the system. And as we saw when he said, F this town, he doesn't want to be in these small towns. Axe wants to still be the stud of New York, the stud of Wall Street, Manhattan, Greenwich. Axe wants to be this Lord of Finance, and this new scheme essentially that Taylor and Wendy are going to bring to him will allow Axe to get bigger and bigger. And in turn, as the episode came to an end, we saw that Axe was still talking about becoming a bank. So I think as this show progresses, what we're going to see is that this ESG investments is going to become something big, and Axe will continue looking to become that bank. So with that, guys, there's really no need to stretch this episode out, is there? There really is not much going on. And I hope the show writers, I hope the showrunners kind of pick up the pace. Let's talk about some more financial machinations. This idea of them running around ESG and divestitures and so forth, they're really not showing you the nitty gritty of Wall Street. Let's see more of that. Let's see the hunger and so on and so forth. So with that, I'll be back for the next episode. I hope this was of value, and I'll see you later. Pip pip.